Finally, let's talk about the secondary. Even though I've brought up about the lack of depth at certain positions, like on the defensive line, the defensive back position is one position the Huskers are not lacking in, as it might be one of the strongest and deepest positions on this team, with some veteran returning like Quentin Newsome, who is entering his fifth year and has 864 snaps as a defensive back at Nebraska. Newsome is the Huskers' most experienced corner and could be considered the best player on the team. The secondary is going to be a big plus, and I feel with the pass rush of the defensive line and the linebackers, the secondary is going to even look better. The Huskers did lose three defensive backs to the transfer portal, though, in Noah Pola-Gates, Jaleel Martin, and Braxton Clark. But they are also adding four true freshmen when they start camp here in the next couple weeks here soon. So the defensive back room is going to be a packed room, probably sitting around 23 DBs, but this depth is needed and required for the 3-3-5 scheme that Tony White runs, as there are five defensive backs on the field 90% of the time, most percent of the time. Well, if you're running 3-3-5, then it's all the time. And it's extremely important. So the defensive back, the secondary, is what your strength, how do you put this, has to be a strength in the 3-3-5. Yes, you still need a strength up front and in your linebackers, but you have to have quality defensive backs to rotate in and out to be able to maintain a 3-3-5 scheme and what you need to do to run that defense. Defensive coordinator Tony White needs a lot of quality defensive backs on this roster that also can be versatile and play all positions in the secondary. And that does a couple things. If you get an injury here or there, then you have a player, you might have a better player in the backup position at corner than you do at safety. But if they're all versatile, then you can move one of your better corners or your better players to safety who got hurt and then bring in the backup at the corner, or vice versa if it's the safeties. So to me, it's key to have that versatility. And I think that's the way it ought to be on almost all positions, minus quarterback, of course. During the spring game, we saw Quentin Newsome and Malcolm Hartzog playing with the number one squad, along with Isaac Grifford, Omar Brown, and Corey Colliard. Having so many DBs in this defensive back room, each player will be battling for a position, but even if they don't win the actual starting job, they're all going to play significant roles and be rotating in and out to keep everyone fresh. You're going to see this on all the defensive positions probably, as Tony White plans on mixing it up and coming after the offense from all directions. Now, senior Quentin Newsome, who has played in almost every game since he's arrived in Lincoln and is currently sitting at a consecutive game streak of 24 at this point, is definitely going to be a fixture on the left side of the defense, as Rule has called Newsome an NFL shutdown cornerback. So no doubt that Quentin Newsome, barring any injuries or something tragic happen, will be adding to his 24-game streak come against Minnesota as a starter. Now, for the right side, the Huskers are not lacking there, as they have a rising star in Malcolm Hartzog. We all saw Hartzog come in last year as a true freshman and start those last 8 games, and was able to snatch up 3 interceptions in that time, had 22 tackles with 5 pass breakups, and that's only in 2/3 of a season. So if he kind of averaged that pace throughout a whole season, he would have ended up with about 33 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and probably around 5 interceptions for the season, which, dude, we'd take that for sure. I mean, we'd probably take even what he just had in the 8 games. So if he could add to what he did last year and grow into that position, I'm going to tell you the secondary is going to be a big plus this year. And if we could get the big bodies up front, if we could hold up that run, if we could clean up and stop that run where we had a little issues last year, then this defense is going to me going to be really, really good. I guarantee you at the end of all this, we're all going to like what we see no matter what. But I expect this defense to keep us in a lot of games this year. And if we can get some offense, if that offense grows, man, I'm telling you, you never know what you're going to get out of this team this year. So it's kind of exciting just to see what we're all going to get. So on the right side of that corner position, right side of the defense, I'm pretty confident that sophomore Malcolm Hartzog, from what he did last year, and who actually started with Newsome in the spring game, will be that starter on that right side of the defense. It definitely helps when two players have played together and has that chemistry. That's key in football. And I understand they don't need each other, but in a roundabout way they do. If they know what the other one's doing, then it's going to be hard for that offense to throw things at them without one thinking what the other one's going to do if they catch them off guard. I'd love it that these two are staying together. Because of COVID, Newsome could stay one more year, could stay that 6th year, which selfishness from us would probably say, oh, we hope he does. But he's going to be probably a top draft pick. Now, I know during the spring, Coach Coop moved Hartzog around the secondary, and he was quoted saying Hartzog is really talented enough to play anywhere in that secondary. But I do expect Malcolm to be on the corner side and the right side of that corner position come the Minnesota game. Now, like I said, the secondary is a strength for this team. So be on the lookout for some new faces making a name for themselves come this season. One is sophomore Taman Lenham, who also played with Newsome in the spring game and played very well. These three, to me, will definitely be, to me, probably the top three corners come opening day. But with a lot of depth in the secondary room, the Huskers have plenty of options at corner and safety with a good amount of experience. Another shocking emergence during the spring game to me was Omar Brown, who has looked like he's coming around and finally making a big progress move. So I see these players coming in and solidifying a starting spot come game one. Now, with senior Quentin Newsome and sophomore Malcolm Hartzog being our corner starters come first game against Minnesota, I see probably sophomore Taman Lennon and junior Tommy Hill, who has now moved back to corner position after struggling last year, which what gave Hartzog his chance at starting them 8 games. But I don't hold that against Tommy Hill himself. But I do expect these players to be rotating in and out both sides of the ball, along with junior Javier Morton and junior Deshaun Singleton coming into the mix during the season. When I talked about junior Tommy Hill, I feel Tommy will make a big recovery from last year's blunder under Rule and Coach Coop, now training and developing him. I know a lot of people are wanting to blame the players for how they played, like Tommy Hill did last year. And it's kind of unfair. In a way, yes, it's kind of true. But I hear a lot of people also stating, well, the Huskers just aren't recruiting any good players anymore. But very few come out of high school as an elite top player that could just jump in and go to the NFL, or a lot of times even jump in and play at a high level, unless you get to some of them top high 5-star recruits. Most of them 4-star, 3-star on down need some kind of development. And a lot of times you learn it as you play. It's kind of on-job training, if you know what I mean. But very few come out of high school as an elite top player. It actually takes developing and training these players to become these top NFL guys you see, which I feel Frost and his staff just lacked in. Doesn't mean Frost is not going to get there. He's still early as a head coach. He's early in his training and developing as a head football coach, especially at a Power 5 school. So expect to start seeing big increase in Nebraska's talent level, as Rule and his staff are, one, excellent developers, and I also feel like he's going to probably grab better players out of high school, as Frost seemed to depend on the transfer portal a little more, and I do not expect Rule to do that. He's more of a developer. I think he enjoys that part as well. You're always going to do what you do well, or you're going to always do what you like better because you like it. So I expect to see more high school players in development and get these relationships, and with that you're going to see an increase in talent from this Husker team. Now at the strong safety position, I have this emerging senior Omar Browning starting there, with redshirt sophomore Corey Collier getting into the mix coming that opening game against Minnesota. I also have free safety junior Marquise Buford starting, along with junior Miles Farmer rotating at that free safety position as well. So you could see Tony White is going to use a lot of players, and with this defensive back room, it could be done, as it is the deepest and one of the most experienced positions the Huskers have right now. Now, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and click that thumbs up button, as that actually helps this video out to get out to others. And if you'd like to join the Big Red Country Club and be part of the Husker Nation as we start to rise again, as this team starts to grow into maybe what it used to be or close to what it used to be, you could also support the channel by leaving a small $1 or $2 tip. Just click on that thanks button below the video, as we appreciate all the support we receive. So thank you for watching. Go Big Red.